19 years ago, I set my company up, May 2006. I'd been in sales at that point for about 7 or 8 years, and it's scary, right? As business owners, you have anxiety, you have overwhelm of, is this gonna work? So the first thing I did is get a coach. I had no money in my bank, but I thought, if this is gonna work, if I'm gonna make a real success running a sales training company, I've got to follow my own advice and get a coach. And the first thing that coach said to me is, if you don't invest in yourself, then why should clients invest in you? And the fact that every single one of you is sitting here shows you have that same mindset. Because for agents to thrive and grow, no matter what the market is, you have to constantly, consistently invest in yourself, your business, your team. And you know what? I see that as a mini success. And as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I think we need to celebrate every mini success to get to the big goal. Because when you have that massive goal that you're all going to hit, if you implement what you learn, it seems quite scary to reach there. So I think we need to celebrate the little goals on the way. And the fact you've been here for the last 2 days and invest in yourself is a little goal. And I want you to stand up and actually give yourself a round of applause for achieving that mini goal. Please stand up, give yourself a round of applause. And take a seat, take a seat. So I just took a selfie of that because it's the only way I'll get a standing ovation. But what did I just prove? I just proved 2 things. I had the will to do it, and I had the skill to do it the right way. And when I look at the best agents I've ever worked with, I've worked with probably 500 estate agency owners, independents, franchises. I've worked with about 12,000 negotiators and about 3,000 valuers. But when I work with these people, and I was very fortunate to work with them all over the UK and Europe, I try to, I guess, identify what are the traits of the most successful agents. I try to break down and, I guess, create a blueprint of what the best do differently. And that's what I'm going to talk about for the next hour, an hour and 15 minutes. And you know one thing that stood out? They are not order takers, they are order makers. And the best agents in the world right now, irrespective of the market, they don't rely on the market. They don't sit there and wait for a call to come in, because anyone can do that with the greatest deal of respect. They make deals happen. They are order makers. And what I'm going to share with you today is my number 1 strategy that's going to help you double your valuations. And the beauty of it is you don't have to spend an extra penny on marketing. Does that sound like something you'd like to learn? Yeah? Now, you've learnt loads yesterday, I hope, and you're going to learn loads by the end of today. And there's a well-known saying, right? Knowledge is power. All heard that before? It's gibberish. And the reason I say it's gibberish is when you go home tonight or tomorrow morning, your knowledge is going to be better and more depth than it was yesterday morning. Agreed? But it's only power if you implement what you learn. Implementation of knowledge is power. I've seen from the back of the room, everyone's taking notes, nodding and taking value, but if you don't action it, it's not powerful. So I'm going to share this number 1 strategy. As business owners, the key is your staff, your people, implement what I'm about to teach you. Because it's not good enough to go, what a lovely idea, I hope we do it. I want you to think about, it's one of the best ideas you're going to hear, and I will action it, and I will reap the rewards of it. Sound fair? So my first ever client was a company called Weber's. If anyone's heard of them, one of my first clients I worked with, based in Exeter, really, really good agent, 14 offices. And whenever I start training, I always sort of go around the room, and I say, tell me your name, your role, and how long you've been here, right? And I remember there was a lady called Lisa, and she was quite shy. I remember she was quite introvert and shy. And I said, what's your name, what's your role? And she said, my name's Lisa, I've been here 4 years, and I'm just a receptionist. I said, okay, well, just help me understand that, Lisa. Her boss, Mark, stood up. I said, Mark, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Lisa, can you help me understand that? If a vendor or a landlord phoned in to book a valuation, would you take that call? She's like, yeah, that's my job. So I said, they're not just a receptionist. Because when the phone goes down, the entire perception of Webbers is on you. The feelings that you evoked within the individual is the questions you asked, it's the statements you made. I said to her, you're not just a receptionist. You're the CEO of the first impression. And she looked at her boss, Mark, and said, I want a pay rise. But the truth is, she was the CEO of the first impression. And if she got it wrong, the chances of the opportunity continuing is limited, right? Because as you know, every landlord, every vendor, every applicant, they're speaking to your competition. Agreed? So therefore, in my opinion, the agents that thrive, it's all about the starting point. It's when that CEO of the first impression starts the process, whether it's on your website, from an email, from a phone call. So what we've got to look at as business owners is what is those touch points, and do we wow them before the journey even begins? And it's something to consider and think about. So what I'm going to share with you is a story. And it's about a lady called Laura. Now, Laura was a lettings negotiator for an agent in London called Chase Evans. Show of hands, anyone heard of Chase Evans in Canary Wharf, Docklands? And they're a really good agent. They've got 5 offices all over Canary Wharf and London. They managed, I think, about 3,000 properties under management. Most of the landlords were Asian landlords, right? At Hong Kong, Singapore, etc. And I was listening to this girl, Laura. She was brand new. She was from a place called Wembley, which you've probably all heard of. Brand new to lettings, never ever done it. But that day I was coaching them and listening to the calls. And there was one call in particular that really stood out for me. And I'm going to share this call with you, how I remember it. And what I'd like you to do is get your pen and paper and just take in what you do as I share this call. And then what we're going to do is dissect it and break it down. Because once you get this is the number one strategy you're going to learn in the next 15 minutes that will double your valuations in under 3 months without spending an extra penny on marketing. Sound good? This is how the call went. Good morning. Thank you for calling Chase Evans. Laura speaking. How can I help? Yeah, hi there. I'm looking to rent a 1-bed in the Docklands as quickly as possible. Great, I can help. My name's Laura Jenkins. Who am I speaking with? It's Mike Beard. Well, Mike, thank you so much for calling Chase Evans. Your landline has just appeared on my phone. Please, can I get a mobile? Certainly, it's 07. Mike, just out of curiosity, who recommended you to Chase Evans? He said, well, no one. I currently rent in South Quay. I see your boards, offices everywhere. She said, great. The only reason I ask is most of our business is recommended. So before we talk about the property, Mike, do you mind me asking what's the reason it's urgent? He said, well, yeah, I'm currently renting in South Quay, but I've split up my fiancée. He said, it is toxic and I need to get out the flat. She said, look, I'm really sorry to hear that. I can absolutely help. So tell me specifically, where do you want to be in the Docklands? He said, I'm pretty open. He said, I currently work in Cabot Square. I don't drive, so I do need to be sort of near a DLR station, but I'm pretty open to area. Great. Cabot Square's around the corner from our office. What do you do for work? He said, I'm a trader at Morgan Stanley. She said, I know it. Loads of our landlords are at the same US bank. You said near a DLR station. What do you deem as near? 10, 15-minute walk? Great. And what's the best property you've seen so far? He said, I was viewing one on the weekend called Juniper Gardens. He said it was absolutely stunning, but it was out of my price point. She said, I know it, overlooking the Marsh Wall. He said, yeah. I said, it's beautiful. What specifically attracted you to it? He said, everything. There was a private concierge. There was a gym. I do the gym every day at work. I'd rather do it at home. There was a beautiful communal garden. I like spending time outside. And the rooms, everything was just high ceilings, loads of carrots. He said, what's not to love? And she said, I get it. Which of those things would you not compromise on, she asked. And she said, well, concierge is not key. The garden is important to me. The gym would be nice, but it's not, I guess, vital, because I've got it in the office. But but yeah, that would work. And you said it was out of your budget. Do you mind what price point you're comfortable with on a monthly basis? He said, yeah, really about £1,800 a month is really at my top. Okay? So you need to be earning in the region of about 53,000 a year. Are you comfortable with that? I said, yeah. Great. Mike, I've got 2 properties you are going to love. One of them is in Limehouse, and one of them is Island of Dogs, just outside of Limehouse. Probably a 7-minute walk from the DLR, and the Limehouse is about 3-minute walk. You're going to love them. Now, we've had so much interest, and when you see them, you'll know why, but I want to get you there quickly. If you're in a rush to move, let's get you there if I can today. Now, looking at my diary, I can do probably 4:45 or 6:15, which is better for you. He said, well, let's do 6:15. I said, brilliant. Could you come to the office at 6 o'clock? I can walk you to the 2 properties, and we can have a chat en route. Great. She got the email. The phone went down. So Mike turned up. Laura approached you. Mike, Laura, lovely to meet you. He said, do you mind if we have a seat just so we can chat through? I'm getting myself a brew. Would you like a tea or a coffee? Yeah, I'd love a coffee, thank you. So one of the team got him a coffee. She sat down. And she said, I just want to summarise everything we spoke about this morning. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. And she did. She summarised, and he said, you're absolutely spot on. And we had a coffee. On the walk to the first property, she said, Mike, I don't know if you know, but the local gym in this area is called Gym Box. She said, I've got a couple of free passes here. Just try it out, if you decide to move here to Limehouse. We walked into the first property. We had a wander around. He said the gardens look stunning. And we went into the flat. He said, I know this is a stupid question, but I've not lived on my own. What are the bills going to cost me? She said, that's not stupid, but it depends on usage. The last tenant was paying X. We left. We walked 3 minutes, 4 minutes down the road, saw the other property. He said, look, it's lovely, but the first one is stunning. He said, I knew you were going to say that. He said, look, let's get it off the market ASAP. So we took him back to the office, and we said, I'm going to phone the landlord now. He said, well, hang on, it's on at 1,780. What will he accept? She said, look, I'm going to try and get you asking price. That's how much interest he's had. He offered asking price. Following day, Mike moved in. 9 days later, sorry. Following day, offer was accepted. 9 days later, he moved in. Laura had a card on the doorstep of his new flat saying, Dear Mike, congratulations on your new move. Warmest regards, Laura. And that was the experience. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that was world class. From that first phone call to the move-in. Would you agree? Quite impressive, right? But she missed 4 things. And today is about being world class at every single step of what we do to get the best fees, to get the most instructions, and to build your business. 4 misses. What were they? Any ideas what the 4 misses were? Yes. Good. Why would that be of interest? Spot on. Show of hands, be honest, who spotted that? Yeah, I don't believe you. He said it first. Easy, no, I got it. Great work. The first, he said, I'm renting in South Quay, her patch. It didn't even enter her mind to think about that. So that's a massive one, number 1. 3 left. Yes? Yes, I agree. Actually, I agree, because it was easy, right? So she's working on behalf of the landlord. She could have negotiated, yeah? I agree. What else?
The established salary at 53,000 perhaps she should have side sold some mortgage opportunity?
Yes, possibly, because he was definitely moving to rental. That's probably why I didn't. But you're right, could be a when do you think you look to buy, maybe. What else? Think, there's a couple of big ones. I don't want to help you, I want you to think about it. You run letting agents, guys, as well as estate agents. Where was the other couple of misses? Okay, where's the upsell? Where's the upsell? Anyone? Where was the upsell? Insurance. Good, right? Insurance. They do removals at Chase Evans. She knew that. They help people move from one property to the other. And I said to her, why didn't you offer that? And she said, I didn't want to be pushy. And I said, do you reckon Mike needed it? Yeah. Then it's not pushy. You're actually doing a disservice from not offering it. Because if Mike needed mortgage advice and you don't offer it and help, you're doing a disservice. And so many salespeople, so many business owners are scared to ask because they think they're being pushy or desperate. You're not. You are simply helping. And you're actually doing a disservice by not looking to help. 2 more misses. Yes. Good. Where's the partner going? I said that to Roy. She's like, I'm not going there. I was like, you should go there. Right? But absolutely, where's Mike's partner going? Yeah, most people wouldn't ask. I think, why not? What else? 2 other opportunities. Well, you sort of said one of them. Mike's now single. She should have been all over that, no? It's a trader. Easy miss. Easy miss. Where else? And this is a big one. And this is something most of my clients don't even consider, but when they get it right, it is a game changer to their business. Go on, be specific. Yeah, definitely Google review, but you're on the right lines. Be specific. Help him out, guys. Be specific. What do we know about Mike apart from Morgan Stanley? Now, you might not know the US bank, but they're in Cabot Square. They employ about 5,000 people in about 100 yards from the office. Do you reckon out of 5,000 people there's any landlords, vendors, buyers, tenants, right? And it didn't even cross her mind. So I told her about it, and she was like, I hadn't even thought about it. So I said, you've done the most unbelievable job. Go back to Mike, ask how the experience was, and ask. And she did. She said, Mike, it's Laura. Before I ask for your number, she said, you mentioned you're at Morgan Stanley. Yeah. I said, did you find the experience good with Chase Evans? She goes, yeah, it was great. So can I ask a small favour? Can I come and meet you one day at work and just meet some of your colleagues to see if I can help them? She took about 2 weeks to organise. He introduced her to a few of the traders. 3 of them were portfolio landlords. One of them had 28 properties in the Docklands from just one question and spotting that one opportunity which you spotted. Show of hands in this room as business owners, do you have corporate property partnerships with the big businesses in your patch? Any of you? Wow. So I was training an agent in Islington 3 weeks ago called Hemmingford's, really good agent, Faz and Rose, really beautiful couple. And they are opposite. They're in Upper Street in Islington. Now, a friend of mine is a trader at the Kites Group, directly opposite their office. He earns about 1.4 million a year, and he's not one of the richest there. You know, I mean, Laura should have been all over that one, maybe, right? But he's not one of the richest. There's about 60 traders earning that sort of money. They are opposite the office. And now we phoned David Kite. We've got a meeting lined up through his PA. Now's the opportunity. So think about the businesses in your area that there will be portfolio landlords, buyers, vendors. Why are we not saying to them, I want to be your corporate property partner? I want to help every single one of your staff. So if they move from overseas and they need a property, I want to be the one who finds it. If they're going through a change in their life, divorce, death, downsize, I want to help them. Easy idea, right? But we're not doing it. So let's just look at what we did. That is all I just did. We did a lovely introduction. Thanks for calling. Who recommended you? Nice question that, right? Who recommended you? Because most agents don't even ask it, but the ones they do say, how did you hear about us? The reason I love who recommended you is twofold. One, it gives the perception that most of our business is recommended, even if it isn't. But number 2, when you ask for a recommendation, it's a lot easier because you say to that landlord, do you remember we first spoke and I said most of our business recommended? With that in mind, who do you know? Friends, family, people you work with that I might be able to help. So you plant the seed early. That was your introduction. Situation, he wants to move quick. How come? Going for a breakup, show empathy, let's get you moving, right? Then the property. Anyone pick up the 2 or 3 specific property questions that Laura asked? They were really good ones. Well, let me help you. Because when I'm coaching agents, right, they'll get a right move lead, okay? And these are the sort of starting conversations I hear, right? First question they ask is, are you registered? What does that mean? It's like, I'm not on a register. Don't be so rude. I'm not on a register, right? Weird question. They don't know what that means. Then they go, oh, the property you've inquired about, is that the one you're looking to buy? No, I just want to have a laugh, walk around like, on a Saturday. Of course it's the one I want to buy. I want to view it. Silly question, right? Then they say, have you seen any other properties? Yeah. Did you like any of them? No. And immediately we've got nothing. And we sit there, right, as negotiators, valuers, or owners taking these calls thinking, God, this guy's difficult. He's not difficult. You're asking the wrong question. So what did she ask? Good. Which ones, what's the best you've seen so far, right? Because you said how long you've been looking? 2 weeks. See anything you like? Not really. What's the best you've seen so far? Gives feedback. Then what did she ask? Yes. Excellent, right? Vital, because if we go and show Mike a flat with no garden, he's going to go, I told you I need a garden. Well, actually you didn't, but she didn't ask. So which are non-negotiables? What else did she ask? Location. He said near the DLR. Well, near is you and me. His near was 10 to 15 minutes. Never assume. If they use vague language, I need to move quick. What does that mean? I want to live in a nice area. What does that mean? We can't assume, right? What else did she ask? Price point. Now, I loved how she did that because most negotiators I listen to or valuers are, what do you earn? None of your business. What do you earn? Right? It can seem offensive because if they've never rented before, they don't really know why you're asking that. Fair? So just by it's on the market at X, what are you looking to spend? What makes you comfortable? They give you a figure, so you need to be in the region of X. Does that work for you? A much softer, easier way. Then what does she do? And this is so important, this part. Good. Why? Why do you think she did that? Didn't want to know. Whereas most agents go, I'm going to send you details. If you want to view it, give me a ring. Have you ever? They phone to buy or let a property and you're going, yeah, if you like it, give me a ring. Criminal. But rather than, would you like to view it, which allows a no. And this is a big point. If you don't want to hear a no, you can't ask a question that could lead to a no. So very clever, she said, looking at my diary, 4:45, 6:15. Why did she say those specific times? She's busy. If you said, oh, you're my first viewing all week, it's not great, right? So never book a viewing or a vow on the hour. 4:45, 6:15, it's called psychological numbers. 97p is cheaper than £1. Yeah, so be specific with it. And that was her close. Now, it's quite hard to teach that because actually, although it's only 5 words, it's quite a lot to go through. As owners, your job is to make sure it happens, to make sure it's implemented, and make sure, more importantly, it's consistent. Because what I notice is when you teach your team how to do these things, it's good for a week. They might do it on week 2. Week 3, they're back to, have you seen anything? Is that sort of the one you're looking for? Are you on the register? Do you know what I mean? They'll go back to their bad habits because that's what happens. So how do you remember this? It's very, very easy, actually. Very easy. You have it written in front of you. That's how easy it is until it becomes habitual. The book Atomic Habits, James Clear, said it takes between 28 days and 67 days to build a habit. Do it every single day, so it becomes habitual. He owns a property, she owns a property, MA opportunity. Most people miss it. Rent, I want to get your landlord details. I'm going to explain in a minute exactly what to say to get the landlord's details and remain GDPR compliant, right? And then timescale of you serve notice. 4 very easy questions. You can use these for sales, you can use these for lettings. Ted, tell, explain, describe. Tell me about your buying journey so far. Explain to me what amazing looks like to you. Yeah? Explain to me the process you've gone through so far. Finance. Very, very easy. If I look at this, Sally asked how many of you own an estate agent. I think it was, apart from Ria, pretty much all of you, right? So let me give you the finance question in this scenario. Yeah? You've inquired for the property for 300,000. Yeah. What are you comfortable in spending up to? About 350. What's the question we ask? How did you arrive at that figure? Oh, I've spoken to my bank, Metro. Brilliant. And what arrangements have you made with Metro? Oh, I've actually got an agreement in principle. Fantastic. What do most negotiators or valuers then say, guys? Would you like to speak to my broker? No, thank you. I've got an agreement in principle. Now, that sounds so basic. When I trained the property centre in Gloucester, I trained one question that turned one FS lead a week per person to 5 FS appointments per week per person. It transformed the FS additional revenue just by changing the question. Would you like to know what it is? It's going to cost you 100 quid each, so put your hand in your pocket. It was as simple as this. That's amazing you've got an agreement in principle. That puts you ahead of the game. Can I just ask, though, who have you compared it against? Well, I haven't. I've got agreement in principle. Yeah, of course, but that's from Metro. We work with ex-brokers. They have access to 109 lenders. One is Metro. They will get you a better option. Look, what I'm going to do for you is get Michael, who's incredible. I've worked with him for years, to call you. When's better? 5:45, or do you want to do tomorrow at 11:15, which they will do. So the technique there is don't ask, tell. Not, I don't want to speak to your broker. That's not going to serve you, right? And simply, we close. Now, this is quite interesting. Not only is it psychological numbers, but it's the alternative, right, which is quite obvious. But what did she say when Mike walked into the office? Because she wants him to have a tea or coffee, because it's going to hold in there for 10 minutes and they can have a rapport. Anyone pick up on it? It's this simple. Would you like a tea or a coffee? Would you like a drink? Says, I'm okay, thank you. And it's interesting this, 70% of people, if you say, would you like a drink, will say no, thank you. If you say, I'm getting myself a brew, would you like a tea or a coffee? About 80% say, oh, thank you, I'll have a coffee. The reason they go for the last is called recency. It's the way the subconscious brain works. So if you want something and you position it, what you want goes second. I love these things. So I use these personally in my social life, right? Always say to my wife, sweetheart, this weekend, should we go to the cinema? Or, should we just stay and have some good sex? And that's us in the cinema. That's us in the cinema, yeah. They're, thank God for Orange Wednesdays, right? Else I'll be brassic. How do we remember these guys? How do we remember them? Because it is 5 words, but it's also a whole conversation. And it's really easy. I'm going to teach you now how to remember them. You'll never, ever, ever forget them again. Isperfucker, right? Easy. Isperfucker. I sell property for commission. That took me like 3 hours, by the way, to come up with that. I was buzzing. My wife's like, you're a fucking moron. I was like, yeah, but I enjoyed it. I sell property for commission. So here's a question for you. And it was the gentleman at the back. I'm so trying to get your name right at the back. Simon. Simon came up with this, and I want to ask you the question, okay? So pen and paper or laptops, whatever you're using. And if you're in a group within your business, discuss together or discuss together anyway. The first question I've got is, how many applicants last year across all your offices or your one office did you register last year? And by applicant, I mean a buyer, or obviously if you're an estate agent as well, a buyer or a potential tenant. How many applicants last year? Discuss it, I think, because a lot of people, it's quite hard, right? You won't know the exact number unless, like, you're Rain Man, but you might have an idea. I'm keen to know, are you able to look it up? Are you able to access your system and look, your CRM? If you can, look it up. But this is what I'm about to teach you is a game changer. Discuss it and come up with a figure. And I want to shout it out. I want to get an idea of numbers, right? Over here. How many applicants roughly? 10,000, yeah? How many offices have you got? 3 offices, yeah? Do we have any more than 10,000, ladies and gentlemen? Same, yeah? How many offices? 3, okay. You guys? Really, about 10,000. Back of the room? 3,000, okay. You guys, back in the room? 30,000, wow. Busy office. How many offices, Simon, have you got? Wow. That's what I want. And you guys? 15. Okay, so look, guys, these are big numbers, right? So this is the second question. This is the second question. Of those 30,000, 10,000, 15,000, how many of them, when they were looking to buy or looking to rent, were already renting in one of your areas? Bit harder, but it's interesting to know. 90%? Yeah. Well, it's interesting, like, I've worked with agents in Newcastle, say it's like 60%. I've worked with agents in West Hampstead, say it's 80. I was just on a call this morning with Beresford's, amazing agent in Essex, 16 offices. He said that I think they register, I think he said 52,000 across those offices, and they said 85% are renting in Essex in their areas, which is quite amazing, right? So how many, guys? Let's shout out numbers again. You guys? Not sure? No? But it's important to know this, right? And especially when you hear the next bit, which I reckon you probably already know. 90%, wow. Wow. 50, okay. 8, really big numbers. Okay. So I guess this is probably the most important question. Of those 10,000, 11,000, 9,000, whatever it is, how many of the landlord's details did your negotiators, valuers, or if you took a call as owners, did they get on the first phone call? Not when an offer was made, on the first phone call. I'd like to hear these numbers. Wow. Wow. Any more than 0? Have you got any more than 0 in the room? So, and that's good that you're doing that. However, they might not get the property, right? You might have 15 applicants for one property, 200 apps for one property. You're not getting them because you're only going to get one. Yeah? Does anyone do this? Is anyone at the moment? I'm going to talk about how do we do it and be GDPR compliant because I've spoken to a GDPR lawyer about this. Is anyone doing this at the moment? Wow.
We trialled it for a bit, and it was a tough call.
Okay.
To get the information out.
So this is very interesting. Remember I said, guys, if you ask the wrong question, you might not get the right answers. How did they, do you remember exactly what they asked or said? What is, that's okay. So guys, that's fair, right? Obvious, right? But what did I say earlier? What could they say to that?
Please.
No. Would you like to speak to our mortgage broker? No, right? That's the challenge with it. So let me help you. Because I cannot tell you how this is going to transform your business. When I worked with Holden Copley in Nottingham, another great agent, 23,000 applicants, they were also not doing it. 23,000 applicants, and they said about 12,000 were renting there, and they were not asking the question. So about 13 years ago, when I won Chase Evans, I got a call from Atkinson McLeod. They were looking, they've just been bought by Foxtons, amazing agency, 4 or 5 offices run by Giles Atkinson, Dan McLeod, really impressive entrepreneurs. And this is what he said to me, and he couldn't quite believe this was going to be the case. Doubled vows in under 12 weeks. And that was without spending an extra penny on marketing. You've got to do your marketing, right? That's how you grow your business. But this is an additional source without spending an extra penny on marketing. Is it fair to say this could change your business? So I had a meeting, I said, with Beresford this morning. We did these numbers, and they worked out that because they're missing this, they reckon now they can add another £712,000 to their business based on how many landlords are going to get hold of, how many they're going to get a vow, how many instructions they're going to get, and what fee they get. £700,000. And I said to him, but it gets better. That's every year. And it gets better than that. So this is the figures that Giles gave to me. He said roughly 12,000 a year. That's what he thought. Now, this was going back a while, but I did this 6 months ago with an agent. It doesn't change. And he said out of those 12,000, he reckoned about 7.5, right? Similar to what you got. I think yours was higher, right? 80%. And only 2,000 knew their landlord. Now, what I've noticed with this is, on average, about 30-40% actually know their landlord, right? Because otherwise it's managed by. Or the other thing they're going to tell you is, I've not served notice, so I don't want you to contact my landlord, right? You're going to get that, aren't you? But then you say, that's absolutely fine. But when you do serve notice, we'd love to have a chat, okay? And then we can do an incentive, which I'm going to get to. But that's how many vows he got in under 12 weeks. He had to hire staff to do valuations. He said he's never, ever, ever, ever been busier. But he was quite happy about that, right? As a business owner, a lovely problem, right? And that's how many instructions they won. Now, their conversion's normally 87%, but he said for whatever reason with these vows, they converted a little bit less. But with an average fee, 370 instructions, that was their average fee at that time. It's not bad, right? For 4-branch independent agent. They've just been bought by Foxtons about a year ago because they had the most incredible profitable business. They grew their property management from, I think at the time, 700 to over 1,500 within a year, and then it grew and it grew and it grew until Foxtons bought them, right? This wasn't the only strategy. They obviously did amazing marketing. I don't think they did funnels, actually. They missed a trick. But they did amazing marketing, and that helped transform that business. So I guess the question is, how do we get them? So your team do it. They say, can I have your landlord's details, right? You don't do it now, but you trialed it.
We trialled it for a period of time.
That's
Just
okay.
asking for it, but yeah.
So guys, let's think about this, right? How, in terms of persuasion and influence, as business owners, if you're trying to negotiate supply rates, your lease, what's the number one rule of persuasion if you're trying to get what you want out of a situation? Any ideas?
We did actually offer the details.
Incentive.
Right,
If-
good.
If the landlord came for us, we give him 50 quid.
Okay. And how did that
It
sit
didn't
with
go
them?
down, nothing
Fair
happened.
enough.
No.
Fair enough. So then we got, at least you did it, but then we tried something else. So this is the answer to that question. Tell them what's in it for them. When they get why they need to do it, fun enough, they do it. Right? They do it. And this is how you ask. You simply say, the property you've just viewed, we've had 86 applicants. Call us about it. You're our 34th viewing, and the landlord is obviously waiting to get the highest offer. But you need to move quick, right? I want to help you, get you in as quick as I possibly can. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a very quick reference with your landlord to see that you've been a good tenant. Can I have their number? Now remember, 35% are going to say, I don't know my landlord, maybe 40%. 30% are going, no, I can't because I've not served notice. But the others will give you their number, and you don't even have to pay them £50. Nice touch, right? So then what happens? You get the property landlord's details. So we do a quick reference, but then the key is GDPR. Now, this is what I spoke to Eric Walker, who's MD of a big branch of Martin & Co., who's also their compliance officer in GDPR. I took him out for the rugby a few months ago, and because at the time this was pre-GDPR, right? But I said, Eric, is this legal? He's like, absolutely, if you do it this way. And what he said is, when you ask that question, I need a quick reference, they'll go, yeah, it's John Smith, here's his mobile. I say, look, there's something called GDPR, so legally we have to have permission to speak to your landlord. Please call and get us permission. You put that in writing, text, WhatsApp, email, it's in writing you've asked. Now, ideally, bless you, ideally, you can call tenant and get the landlord's details. But Eric, according to Eric, so if you get arrested, speak to Eric, nothing to do with me. According to Eric, he said, as long as that's in writing, you can then contact the landlord because you've told in writing, I have to get permission, please speak to your landlord. Quite clever, right? How easy is this to do? Knowledge is power, but it's not if you don't do anything with it, right? As owners of your business, your job to run the ship as captains is make sure they do what they need to be doing. You need to monitor this every single week. And this is my suggestion if I was running an agency. I would want to know, running a branch, how many applicants we register a week. Sales and lettings, yeah? I want to know out of those, let's say it's 400 a week. Out of those 400, how many were renting in our area? Let's say it's 150. The killer question is, out of those 150, how many landlord's details do they get? If the answer is 0, there's a problem. Because they're forgetting, they're doing it the wrong way, whatever, right? We get a GDPR compliant, and then we get the landlord's details. Now we've got to speak to the landlord, right? And this is the process that I've taught for many, many years, because it's not, remember, it's all about the landlord. It's not about you, right? So you phone the landlord. Hi, Sarah Murphy, Tony here at Chase Evans. I've just spoke to your tenant, John Smith. What a lovely, lovely guy. Did he tell you? He did tell you. I'm so pleased. He spoke so highly of your property. I mean, it sounds stunning. How long have you owned it? Blah, blah, blah. So the reason for the call is at Chase Evans, service is everything, and we only want to put the best calibre of tenant in our landlord's properties. Not a bad thing to say, right? So can I ask, would you recommend him as a tenant? You would. And did he pay his rent on time? Amazing. And most importantly, did he look after your property? Fantastic. Fantastic. And then we have a success story up our sleeve. We say, when I was getting a description of your property, it made me think about the one on Anthony Road. Do you know Anthony Road? No? It's about 3 minutes from the Dockland station. We've just let another 2-bed, but it sounded like it needed more work than yours. It was on the market for $1,800. We got £2,012 a month with a 12-month tenancy agreement. And there were 12 applicants that missed out on that one. I'd like to get them to see yours. Can you do tomorrow at 4:45, or should we do 6:15? 4:15, good, I'll see you in the cinema, I said to him. And the question is, what's your plan with that property? Now, he might say, I'm selling it. Fantastic, we can help. One of the market leading agents in the area. Not only do we have an incredible letting business, but we've also got an amazing estate agency, right? What's your plan? But can anyone think what else you're going to ask the landlord? More importantly, your team should be asking the landlord. Think. Other properties, right? Quite a simple question that most people don't ask. I was doing some work with LSLI Inter-County, amazing agent, had 2,000 properties under management. And I said to the director, when did your team last phone every single landlord to ask, does the landlord have a buy-to-let mortgage? Does the landlord have other properties? And does the landlord have an appetite to buy or sell? And they hadn't gone through the process. And the owner was like, I'm embarrassed. I was like, don't be embarrassed, just take action now. And they did, and again, grew their portfolio pretty damn quick. And then we closed the landlord, looking at my diary. It's not a complex conversation, right? It really isn't. But the questions have to be asked a certain way to position it a certain way. Now, the reason I love this, not just getting the instruction, but as you've said, he or she might have a portfolio, may have a buy-to-let mortgage. If they've got a portfolio, 12 properties, anyone know the question your team should be asking to try and win them as well? Are they, and let's say they're fully tenanted. Then what do we want to know? Where are they? Are they in our area? Amazing. Yes? What rent are you achieving? This is the question before what rent. When did you last have a rent review? 6 months ago. So look, I'm not here to talk negatively about other agents. I don't operate like that. I want to do a complimentary rent review. I want to know, are you getting the most for your properties? And happy days if you are, or can we do anything better for you? Looking at my diary, and then we get the appointment. Buy-to-let mortgage, how do we get an appointment, guys? What should your team or you be saying when you find out the landlord's got a buy-to-let mortgage? Very good, you listened. You're my favourite. Who have you compared them against? I haven't, leave it to me. Sarah, best broker I ever dealt with, blah, 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 blah. And do you have an appetite? Now, before you even ask the question, you say, Mike, we have the most incredible buy-to-let opportunities right now, and I just want to gauge your appetite if you'd like to look at any of them. I want to gauge your appetite. And then finally, insurance. And then finally, the best technique I'm ever going to teach. So what I'd like you to do for a moment, if you don't mind, I would like you to imagine that every single one of you in this room, including you, Sally, swaps jobs with me. So you no longer own an agency. You no longer run the most successful coaching company in the country, apart from mine. Much better than mine. And you're not a neg, you're not a valuer. You own Tony Morris International. I'm retired, living the dream, right, on a boat with Sally in Miami. You've got my job. Imagine that for a moment. Who is the first person that you would phone to try and win your first ever customer? Now you run a sales training company. Write it down. Who would you call? So if I said, what do you do? I run a sales training company. Simon, what do you do? I run a sales training company. Who would be your first phone call to try and get your first customer? So maybe think about your family, your siblings, your loved ones, your kids, your grandparents, your parents. Do any of them own a business with a sales team? Do any of them manage a sales team, or are any of them in sales? It's not just a state agency. We work, yesterday I was with ITN, next week I'm with Inc Global, so there's a lot of people for you to think about. Who would you call? Write it down, please. Write down the name of who you'd phone, and obviously you've got to know them. You can't just put, yeah, Amazon would be good, Jeff Bezos, give him a bell. It's got to be someone potentially you know, yeah, friends, family, loved ones. Just out of interest, show of hands, who's thought of someone, just out of curiosity? Quite a few of you. What I'd like you to do tomorrow when you're reflecting on the day is I'd like you to email that person you wrote down. I'd like you to copy me into the email with the subject line, recommendation. Say, hi, I saw a good sales trend I think could help your business. Tony, over to you. Nice. This is how I get all my business, by the way, just doing that gag. Be honest. Be honest, guys. Show of hands who asks for referrals every single time. Show of hands. Wow. So I was with Marsh and Parsons about 6 years ago, and Lisa Jane Kelly, one of the directors, incredible entrepreneur, said, I finished training, and she said, Tony, that was amazing. I said, I'm so pleased. Can I ask you a question? Go on then. Imagine we swap jobs. She said, I don't want your job. I said, but imagine. Who would you phone? Probably a mate of mine, Mark Manning. Who's Mark Manning? Well, he owns Manning Staton in Leeds with his father Russell. Got about 19 offices. I'd phone him. And I said, I'd love to speak to Mark. She said, you're a cheeky bastard. But it worked. And this is where it gets even better. When I phoned Mark, we had a lovely chat. He said, oh, Lisa spoke highly. I said, that's very sweet of her. And then he said, well, how much are you? And I told him the investment, not cost, the investment. He went, how much? And I repeated it. He said, I take it there's movement on that fee. I said, not a penny, because I'd be insulting Lisa Jane, who kindly recommended me to you. The beauty of referrals is you don't sell yourself, the referrer sells your agency. And if they dare ask for a different fee, you say, your mum recommended me, I'm not going to do something different to what I paid your mum. That would be disrespectful, and that's not how we operate. You're 6 times more likely to convert by asking for a referral, because trust is built. You don't have to sell yourself, it's done for you. And you never, ever, ever have to move on your fees again. So if you think about it, when you go in to see a landlord or a vendor, and you go, my fee's 1%, the problem with that, you might win it, but then if they refer you, guess what you're getting? So when you stand strong, believe in your business and think, you know what, we are the greatest, you don't charge 1%, you command 1.7%. And when that, for vendors or landlords, 15% fully managed. And when the landlord goes, I take it there's movement like that, not a penny. And if our tenants dare ask if there's movement on your rent, I'm going to say the same thing to them. You have to believe in what you do. You have to have absolute confidence in what you do. Because if you don't, you're not going to get the fees you truly deserve and you should be commanding. The truth is this. If you are really serious about your business and you really want to achieve the goals that you've spoken about for the last 2 days, you have to change your thinking. Because when you actually change your thinking, you change your perspective. And the truth is, when you change your perspective, the things you look at change. And I wish you every success.